So this is a AP pelvic of a patient who's male in his 30s who was in an auto accident where he was T-boned. And you can see the extreme pelvic rotation. So now we're going to go through Gonstead marking. So first you put dots on the top of the femur head and try to pick the same spot of the femur head. If there's arthritis, you try to imagine the joint without arthritis, so you don't put a dot where a spur is or any of that. So now we got dots on the top of the femur head, and we're going to put dots on the top of the iliac crest. Okay, and dots on the bottom of the ischial tuberosity. One dot in the center of the symphysis pubis. One dot on S1 or S2. If they're all in the same place, use S1. You're going to put a dot in the most lateral border of the sacrum. Try to get it at the same spot on both sides. And now you're going to put a dot where the L5 lower facet attaches to the sacrum. Right, the lower facet's actually, that facet's actually attached to the sacrum. Okay, so now we're going to connect the dots. So the first line you're going to do with the parallel is from the bottom of the femur heads. And this is the only line that crosses the body cavity. And the reason for that is because stuff grows in cavities, so you don't want to have lines crossing cavities. Okay, now you're going to use that as your baseline and roll your parallel up and do a line at the top of the iliac crest. And now you're going to put your parallel the other way and roll down. You can see he's putting his pencil on the dot so he doesn't get distortion. Fabulous. Okay, now you're going to measure the ilium, and you want the parallel perpendicular to the femur head line, and so now you're going to measure it. Use the top and the bottom. Great. Okay, so now we're going to draw a line at the top of the sacroiliac. There you go. And perpendicular to that, you're going to connect the sacrolateral lines. And you can see how he's making the parallel perpendicular to that sacral line. Okay, great. Okay, now one more line. You're going to line your parallel up perpendicular to the femur head line, 90 degrees. Right. Then you're going to line it up with the S1 and make sure that it's perpendicular to the femur head line. So that's, yeah, there we go. And draw your line. And you're just drawing that line over the pubis. You're not running it through the body cavity. Okay, so now we've got a few more measurements. We want to measure from the center of S1 or S2 to the lateral borders of each sacrum, and you put those numbers down. So that's 59 on the right and 61. Okay, so your measurements for the ilium are 228 on the left and 225 on the right. What is it? Oh, sorry, 224. Okay, so now I'm going to just take us to the lateral lumbar one right now. So what I'd like you to notice is how flat that lumbar curve is. So we choose which ilium to list by the lumbar curve. So that is a less curve or a hypolordotic curve. An AS ilium or an IN ilium reduces the lumbar curve. So let's see which one of these is an AS. So the 224 is less than the 225 by 1. So the left side is an AS1, but it's also a huge IN. So we'll go over that in a minute. So Barrett's going to write down an AS1 on the left ilium. AS1. Okay, and then let's look at this rotation. So if we measure from the dot to the line, what is that, 10? Mm-hmm. So it's 10 millimeters. So that would make that an IN. So it's an AS1 IN10. And he's going to post that on that ilium. IN10. AS1 IN10. Okay, great. And then the sacrum is a 2 posterior on the left. Great. So now we have the listings. We know what's happening with this pelvis. And we've listed the left side again because the lumbar curve is very hypolordotic. So chances are most of this distortion happened in an auto accident. So that's how we mark pelvis.